Intermediate Tarot Lessons Volume 7. Today we're going to talk about oracle cards, what they are, what you can do with them, what types that you can buy, how to incorporate them as well into your tarot readings, and more importantly, why you should incorporate them into your tarot readings. I believe that once you get oracles and combine them with tarot, you just get a plethora of explosive meaning that you would otherwise not have. So in combining oracles with this, especially since oracles are so cheap, they're like 10, 12 bucks online, on Amazon or whatever, and you can grab a couple of these and get started almost immediately. Now I'm going to tell you the ones that I like here. I like the Fairies Oracle, although the Fairies Oracle is really thick. It's not the type of oracle that I would use with a tarot. You can, but it's just not the type that I would, because they have so much enriched meaning just within themselves that you can do like full readings with the Fairies Oracle. Now here's one of my favorite. This is the Wild Wisdom of the Fairy Oracle, and it's another type of Fairy Oracle, but it's very bright. The cards are very thick, plasticky, and they will last you forever. I mean, you could run over them with a truck and put them in water and they'll still be just fine. Here's another one of my favorites, the Oracle of Shadows and Light. As you can see, you have, just like big-headed type characters, a lot of interesting characters and good oracle stuff like this. Teo Oracle, I don't really use that much anymore. Victorian Flower Oracle, I only really use in love readings. That's where I see that it has a lot of meaning for me. Again, you can be totally different. So here's the Wild Wisdom of the Fairy Oracle is what we have here. You have cards that are bright, plasticky, thick, and they're much larger than a standard tarot deck. So shuffling them is sometimes a little bit of a chore, but I'll show you how to shuffle those in just a minute. Now here is the Oracle of Shadows and Light. As you can see, it's got a lot of the big head thing going on. It's got some good themes and stuff like this. Now the ones that I use have meanings on the bottom. So if you look at, let's say, this one here, which is the Oracle of Shadows and Light, as you can see from the big-headed characters. At the bottom it'll have the title, which is Candy Cane Angel, and it's time for a treat. And you can also do these upside down, sideways, whatever you want to do to reverse the meaning, and I do mine upside down, although there's no upside down cards here. And Fairy Oracle as well, at the bottom you have the title of the Oracle card, Fairy Lovers, and it says New Love, Courtship, Romance, Falling in Love. So in addition to the cards, you can not bother reading this at all, just kind of cover it up if you want, and just go with an intuitive meaning up here, or you can get kind of a general meaning right here if you want to. But they do coincide here with this. I mean, you can see, the lovers here, blah, blah, blah. So let's talk about the different ways to incorporate this into your readings. Now this is what I call a beginning and end oracle reading here. We have a 3-card tarot reading, and at the beginning we have an oracle, and at the end we have another oracle. So I just have a 3-card reading and I throw an oracle at the beginning and end, because this is the beginning message. This is the current situation before you move on to the tarot reading of, this reading is what's going to happen with my love life in the next month. So, the answer is over here, but in the beginning, here is what's happening here. It looks like a very positive situation with someone, as far as lovers are concerned, or maybe a love that was pronounced that is broken up or something like this. And then you're going to read the tarot cards as for what's, what's installed in the next 3 months, 6 months for this person. And then at the end, this is going to be at the end of the 6 months or 3 months or whatever they want, is going to be here, which is a story keeper. Tell your story, legacy, write your wisdom. So you're just kind of combining these with your tarot cards. And this is just one of many different things here. So for this particular reading, for the beginning, say that either they just got broken out of a relationship, or they're currently in a relationship and looking for maybe a little more happiness. Or most people don't really ask about their love life unless it's going not so well. So you're going to have kind of a good relationship, maybe a kind of a positive relationship that's gone a little bit sour since you're kind of asking about it. So you do have a definite relationship or some sort of a love going on there, even if it's one-sided. And then you have the tarot reading, which I'm going to skip and go to the end, which is about the story keeper. It's very solemn, kind of a retrospect type of thing. It looks more like the hermit, where she's sitting there just kind of reading a book, thinking about things. And I think there was a lot of lessons that are going to be learned in the next 3 to 6 months, or whatever time period they ask about. So the theme here is there's a lot of lessons learned from this, in my opinion. So you have this is the beginning and the end type of oracle thing. And don't think that my oracle spreads need to be your oracle spreads. You can use these as a kicking off point for your imagination. Put oracles anywhere you want your tarot spread. I'm going to give you a lot of examples to get your mind started working and things like this. But again, if you want some of these oracle cards, you can get these off Amazon or your local bookstore or whatever. Amazon has them pretty cheap for it's like 10, 15 bucks for just a huge deck of cards. And I mean, even if you collect tarot cards and you have like a billion of these, a couple of oracle decks you probably already have. If not, I mean, pick up at least one oracle deck. I like the Shadows and Light. I like the Wild Wisdom of the Fairy Oracle. And I'll include a link in the comment section below to both these decks in case you're interested. This is a spread that I'm going to call my Oracle Interruption spread. That's where you have an Oracle card that's dead center of other cards. Here we have a 2-card reading that turned into a 3-card reading because I wanted more information about the Emperor in this case. We have 2 majors in here and 1 minor, and then we have an Oracle card in the middle. And the Oracle card here is the Carousel Fairy, which talks about what comes around goes around. So it's in this question here we have about work and maybe work stability or whatever. This kind of makes sense because you do have a cyclical nature of work. In other words, if you put in a lot of effort, you put in a little overtime, you're the first person there, you're busting your butt, people notice and things like that, your boss normally will reward you for this, and you'll get kind of a more reward than somebody who's not even trying. So it talks about more putting in the amount, a little more effort than you're currently putting in towards work. And there is a loss of strength, there is a lack of stability. Maybe there's a lot of things going on at work that's not exactly stable, a lot of transitions, maybe some people coming and going. But smack in the middle of this is what goes around comes around, which indicates to me to, in this question about work, to put in a little more effort, make yourself stand out a little more, and become better at what you do, even if it involves maybe training on the side or something like this. And then we have 2 stability cards here. So it looks like everything's going to be stable. It's going to work out. It's just a matter of putting in the effort, to be a little better than your colleagues, jump ahead of them in some respects, and just put forth that effort, and I think it'll come around. So this is what comes around goes around. Again, this is smack in the middle of the other tarot cards, which means it is kind of an interruption. This is not a cyclical, not a timeline where this happens and this happens and this happens, but this is an overall theme of the question. So here's the answer to the question, and smack in the middle is an oracle card that kind of reinforces what I'm saying with these here. So it introduces another aspect that's not in the tarot. In the tarot, you don't have the Wheel of Fortune, you don't have anything that's very cyclical. All you have is a lack of strength and then stability. But in between the lack of strength and stability in this work question, there is the underlying question of, so what do I do to bring the stability? And this is answered by the oracle card, which is smack in the middle of the tarot card. So tarot card, 1, 2, 3, oracle card, couple maybe, and some more tarot cards. The number of tarot cards don't matter, the number of oracle cards don't matter. This is just smack in the middle spread of answering the question. Here's another oracle spread that I have, and I call this What Watches Over You. So this oracle card here, which is Strangely Lonely, and it talks about holding on way too tight, is above this 4-card spread here that we have, let's say, a question about relationships, right? So they just broke up with somebody, they're looking for somebody else, and they have a question about their love life, or maybe they met someone or whatever. So you have the king over here, which indicates a lot of stability, and he's kind of actively walking over here to the page, and the page is just almost ignoring him. You have a very good 9 of Cups, which points to a good, love resolution here, but you do have another page which is upside down. The 2 pages upside down seem to point to me to some sort of a maturity that's happening throughout this, where maybe immaturity was there, but maturity is taking place, but it does look pretty positive overall, especially with the 9 smack in the middle there, and you have this great King of Wands, especially a bright colored card amongst all these others. Now, what watches over you affects is kind of a maybe, I don't, not a virus, but I mean something that just kind of passes over all the other cards in the place of, what they're doing. So in addition to all these other cards and the reading that you get to hear, you have the aspect of what is watching over you, and that is holding on way too tight. Maybe you're holding on way too tight to a previous love, maybe you're holding on way too tight to expectations of what you want out of guys, or whatever, for this lady that's asking this question. But it's just strangely lonely. It seems even though you have this positive outlook over here, you have a lot of good things going on, you just have the strangely lonely up here, and it's because you're holding on way too tight. Now the question is, what are you holding on way too tight to? It could be just a variety of things, for the person. It could be maybe they're holding on way too tight for expectations for what they want out of a guy, and they're unrealistic. A lot of times you have expectations for what you want in a mate, and it's just like totally unrealistic. So you'll end up ditching a lot of decent people in order to get that. Maybe you're holding on way too tight on another relationship. You're waiting for your ex-husband or ex-wife or whatever to come back, and that's unrealistic as well, and you know that. It's just a matter of letting go. But this is just something that just kind of washes over the rest of these cards. So once you're done with the reading, and you do all your tarot readings here, then you're going to come back to this and answer the question, how does this fit in? It's watching over the entire spread. How does this fit into this particular spread? So that's just another example of how to incorporate oracle cards into your tarot. This is another spread that I call the forces in between you. So let's say you have a love spread, right? So you have over here, this is the dude's side, and let's call this what he wants, and what he wants out of the relationship, and what he needs out of the relationship, what she wants out of the relationship, and what she needs out of the relationship. And then this is the forces in between you. Now you can put tarot cards over here as the forces in between you, and you can kind of add this if you want, to this actual oracle card. But this is the forces in between both you guys for the relationship. So the Grumpy Red Fairy talks about be true to yourself. And a lot of times in a relationship, you kind of sacrifice a lot, especially at the beginning of a relationship, or kind of at the end of the relationship, which is really winding down. You end up sacrificing too much. But this talks about, so let's say if you're chasing some woman and she's really cute and all this stuff, and you want her over here, this is what you need, and this is what she needs and wants, and all this other stuff. There's a lot of aspects here about being true to yourself that are coming in as the forces between you. And that kind of talks about don't give up a lot of your hobbies, don't give up a lot of yourself in order to be with this other person or something like this. So it's a matter of don't sacrifice everything that you have in order just to get a relationship. A lot of people will get into a relationship and they'll become totally obsessed with the other person, or obsessed with that person's life and find it interesting and get into their hobbies and things like that. But there's a certain point where you do have to end up being true to yourself and not just ignoring all of that stuff. Otherwise, it'll come back to haunt you. You'll come back to maybe, sacrificing friends or things like this that you don't really need to be sacrificing. So this talks about the forces in between you, and one of the forces in between you is being true to yourself. So, walk back to where you were before you started the relationship, or blah, 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 whatever. So I'm not going to bother reading the other cards. I'm just saying this is the forces in between you spread. You can do a lot of things over here. Most of the times I have one card that's what you see in the other person, or what the other person sees in you, what you want out of the relationship, and what you need out of the relationship. So you have 3 cards on each side, and then you'll have 1 card in the middle, and in addition to that you have an oracle in the middle, and then over here you'll have like 3 months of what's going to happen the next 3 months. So that's how to incorporate oracle into a relationship spread, or any other spread that you want, just the forces that are in between the 2 aspects of the question. So this is, like I talked about in the last example, about the next 3 months. I've laid out the next 3 months here, and in addition to the next 3 months I have another card, and the meaning of this card is what to watch out for. In other words, you have this month, next month, the month after that, and the month after that in this thing. So you have the next 3 months. In addition to that, the oracle card kind of stands out as what to watch out for. Kind of an extra advice here. So the next month it looks very positive. You got the the 10 of coins, a very positive card. Everything looks great. Then you got the old Queenie here. It looks very unemotional for the next month. There's a lot of things probably going on with the spread. I don't have a question. And then you have another Queen that's upside down, which doesn't look very positive. But during all of this, and during your reading of the next 3 months or the next several months, you can include an oracle card, and that's going to tell them kind of what to watch out for, or something to beware of and think about during all of this 3-month progress over here. And in this case, it's time for a treat, which talks about, don't neglect having a treat during this next 3 months, even though you're going to have some obstacles, it looks like, during the last part up here and things like that. Just make sure that, you take a break. So it's time for a treat. Could point to taking a break. Maybe you need a little vacation, maybe a trip. Maybe you need to talk to somebody that's going to, bring you up and hang out with one of your friends you haven't talked to in a long time that, is a lot of fun to be around. But it's just about, it's time for a treat and to treat yourself, and don't neglect yourself during the times over here that you're going to have. So if you have some difficult times, good times, or whatever, just make sure that you stop and give yourself a treat during that period. So this is kind of a what to watch out for during that time. And that could contain something that's emotional. It could contain something that's not so obvious, like the snow angel right here is the signs are with you already. In other words, if they have a question about something, about maybe the next 3 months with a relationship and something's going bad, and some of the cards here point to some interesting things that bring up questions, the answer is that the signs are with you already. You already know what you need to know to make it through the 3 months, and the next 3 months, things like this. So it's just kind of an introspective card here. So again, this is what to beware of or what to watch out for during a future month reading. So again, this is just a kicking off point, a couple of examples. Make sure that you pick up an oracle deck, or if you have an oracle deck back in the closet and you're not really using it for anything, don't just use it for oracle readings. I mean, a lot of times people just get an oracle and they'll pull 1 or 2 cards and they'll do an actual reading off of that. And that's cool too, but I mean, if you really want to make these explode with meaning, add these into your tarot readings. It brings a lot of information to it. It brings a lot of depth and some good things to it. And again, the examples that I've given you are just a kicking off point for your own imagination, for your own intuitive nature about what you want to use an oracle for. But you can incorporate these into your tarot cards extremely easily. It gives a very broad sense of meaning to a tarot card reading, and a lot of times when you have a tarot card reading with 3, 4, or 5 cards or whatever, and you're just kind of at a dead end of what it means, an oracle will make it pop, and then you'll suddenly realize that, hey, not only does this mean this as far as the tarot is concerned, but the oracle makes it kind of point to a different direction. So a lot of times this is like a roadmap to some other spot in the reading that you weren't even thinking about. So it kind of kick-start your intuition. It brings a lot of cool stuff. They look fantastic, and if you combine these with a very attractive looking tarot deck. I mean, everybody wants to know, what is that oracle thing, and that's why I call myself Tarot Oracle, because in all my readings I put an oracle deck and combine it with tarot, so you're going to have the combined meaning there. And a lot of people have complimented me and said that my readings are pretty decent. So hey, combining these with tarot really brings out some great meaning. Don't use these by themselves all the time. Stuff a couple into your tarot deck and see how it works. So if you're going to store these, you probably need to get a bigger bag. This is my fleece bag that I got that's huge, and I have this bag here which is huge too. But I can put my tarot cards in it, and even my tarot cards in it still has enough room for an oracle deck. So I can combine tarot and oracle and stuff them back here and carry all of this in one bigger tarot bag. So combine it. I think you'll enjoy it. And as you can tell, I love Lucy Cavendish's oracles. Although you don't have to use them, you can use whatever you want, but just make sure to use them. It's only like $10, $12 on Amazon. Well worth the investment, and you will get so much more meaning from a tarot deck reading.